Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to the SEO panel. I'm just going to answer your first question, why should you listen? If you don't have SEO, you don't make money. So we will shortly explain you what is SEO, what we're going to discuss, and we'll introduce ourselves. I am Ivana Flynn, the SEO director in Come On Group, and yes, we operate in Poland. It's a great market. We're going to be discussing a little bit of the technical part. I mean, SEO has got all shapes and colors. But we're going to the technical part, as this is technical conference, and we're going to be talking about the setup of SEO, what you need to watch out for, how is it different for affiliates and for operators. And we are very happy to have this amazing panel here that covers everything. We have operators, we have affiliates, and we have agencies, so you will really get 360-degree view of each problem. I will kindly ask my panelists to introduce themselves.
Cool, thank you. I'm Chris Mawson, Head of SEO at ICS Digital, an international digital marketing agency operating in over 100 languages. We specialise in iGaming, obviously, and other highly regulated markets. In my role, I oversee sort of all aspects of our SEO output from on and off page, and obviously technical as well. So, yeah, as Ivana mentioned, being from agency, see both sides of the coin day to day, working both with operators and affiliates and sort of advising on the implementation, not just pointing out the issues, but working really hands-on, to resolve and fix them as well.
Hello, everyone. I am Aurimas Marcinkevičius, SEO expert at Betson Group. Of course, we are one of the biggest operators in the world, so my experience today will come from the operator side. I've been in the SEO industry for 8 years. 5 of those are within iGaming.
Hi, my name is Vadim. I'm co-founder and CEO of 2 companies, which actually goes together with the gaming. One is Mamuta Media, and we give black hat PPC and SEO services. That's why I'm black, by the way. That's what we do. And another company is Push Noti Ads. That's the push notification platform that we actually give some help to advertisers to reach in a new way of some markets in Latam and India. So if everyone needs anything, traffic, something, please come and let's talk. And I'm in SEO industry since 2003, so it's 20 years this year, and still enjoying it for 20 years.
Hello everyone, I'm Conrad Bugeja, currently head of SEO at Leo Vegas. We are one of online casino operator offering as well sportsbook. Of course, we have a number of brands, so the internal team covers work on Leo Vegas and Expect and BetUK. Previously, and why I'm on this panel as well, I worked as head of SEO and content at Catena, so a big affiliate working across several markets. And before that, I as well worked with Kindred Group, managing the SEO team there.
Hi everyone, I'm Milorad. I'm representing the affiliate side here. I'm a director of SEO and publishing at Gig Media, part of Gaming Innovation Group. We're one of the biggest affiliates in the world. We work on over 70 large websites present globally in nearly every language. Well, not every language, but nearly every market. Yeah, and I'm very happy to be here.
From the introductions, you can see we are in marketing, right? And from the saying we are the biggest and biggest, you can see I have a lot of men in my panel. You can see, I didn't mention we are a big operator, but we are. Good, so we're going to talk about the technical setup. Obviously, there are differences how you technically prepare your SEO platforms, your hosting, you choose your CMS, and I'm going to ask you very opening questions. What are the main differences between operators and affiliates? Obviously, I would like to see the agency view as well, and why are those differences? What we need to watch out for? What is the main difference?
Sure, yeah, I'm happy to kick things off. So I think from an operator side, first and foremost, what we tend to see, advising as an agency is probably the difficulty in sort of the immediacy of fixes and I suppose implementations that are able to be delivered. So I think, because of the nature of operator sites being built with sort of that single page application, very JavaScript heavy, it can sort of, I suppose, add additional interfacing and weight onto sort of the output that's provided. Whereas for affiliates, as we'll get into, types of CMS, we tend to find, they're more content-based and therefore, in terms of immediacy, often easier to publish to. And certainly from an agency perspective, I think we sort of, have a more straightforward time, shall we say, in navigating affiliate sites compared to quite platform-heavy operator sites.
Wonderful. Just a second, I think if we didn't make it clear what is SEO, is the search engine optimization. So every time you search in Google and you go to the organic results, that's us. We're fighting for the top positions. So that's SEO, that's what we're talking about. Just in case some people don't know, and I wouldn't want to lose your attention.
Yes, and this is one of the main channels for iGaming specifically because the markets are very restricted, some markets at least in terms of marketing, and usually SEO is not restricted in any market, so that's why SEO is super important for specifically iGaming. I can maybe talk about, again, from the operator side, what are the biggest challenges for us. Betson currently has around 25 different domains, like lots of different brands, BetSafe, Betson, NordicBet, and other brands. We are focusing on Europe and LATAM. From my experience, the biggest challenge is just managing everything because most of the sites are super big, have lots of different pages, usually are quite slow compared to, let's say, affiliate sites, which are a lot more simple, usually WordPress-based. Our platform is developed internally, actually not super new, but still we are trying to improve it day by day, especially on speed side. And the tricky thing is basically making sure the website is working, making sure Google bots are accessing the website, making sure we have proper content that both users and Google bots can see, and of course, based on that content, we would hopefully rank well in Google. So that's from my end.
I will just few sentences. I know I'm not from the operator nor affiliates, but still, I believe.
But you were operator till very recently.
I used to
be in Betson.
Head of SEO in Betson. I believe if you compare big brand and small affiliate will win in terms of the integration of the SEO tactics, in terms of the reaction to the changes that we have recently. If you know, we have a lot of major Google updates, and I know in big brands such as Betson and I believe Come as well, it takes time to react to all these changes, if at all you react or do something. But if you compare big brand and big affiliates, the challenges are the same. And the answer for these challenges is the same. It's all about the integration of the SEO. For me, it doesn't matter which CMS you use, as long as the SEO is integrated into the tech, in the tech and IT and everything. So let's say if you just ask SEO before you do anything technical-wise on the website, that will fix everything.
Very good. I will try to answer a bit more from the technical part. So if you are going to start a new affiliate site, of course, as you guys were saying, it will be a content-heavy site where SEO is prioritized, it's important. And then, of course, from an operator point of view, there's a lot of other third parties, and everything needs to come together in the front end. As Chris was saying, there's a lot of JavaScript. So the front end is JavaScript heavy for operators. So there's a lot of tech, and kind of sometimes from the operator point of view, you need to re-engineer and backtrack how to find a viable solution to have good and proper SEO. I already must mention that, of course, a lot of platforms now, and there's a lot of in-house innovation and platforms going in-house. And of course, if SEO is implemented there at design stage, then of course you have the best solution. I'll put it on the front end.
Just to add a little bit to what Vadim said about smaller affiliates, you can be a very successful small affiliate with just a simple WordPress website. Usually, you can have an SEO plugin that today they're quite advanced and quite good. They don't cover everything, but they can do the trick. However, as you grow and you're a bigger affiliate, you start to acquire other websites. They come on different frameworks, different platforms, different versions of WordPress, different themes, then it becomes very tricky. And I think this is where, yes, the operator side seems to be a little bit more complex in one end with JavaScript and rendering and everything, but on the affiliate side, it's just the sheer number of websites when you're a big affiliate. And then at some point you need to, you realize that you can't maintain all these different frameworks and platforms, and that you need to centralize and probably build your own, which is where you go at a certain point, where the simple WordPress plugins are not sufficient anymore. And also, because you're in so many different markets, languages, you have information about so many different operators across so many different websites. If you don't centralize this in a back office where you can just update information about one operator, for example, and have it disseminated across all your websites, it just becomes impossible to handle. So I think affiliation also comes with a lot of complexities, especially with geo-targeting, where you need to present different information in different markets, make sure that Googlebot crawls the version that you would like to rank in that specific market. So yeah, I think both sides have a lot of complexities.
Yeah, bigger you grow, more difficult it gets. We will always try to share some success stories and horror stories just to put this in perspective. And as Vadim said, if you include SEO in your planning from very beginning, you get to win. So from my personal experience, we recently launched a Dutch market in NL. Our common.com is a really broken website with lots of legacy issues, and it struggles to be rendered properly, and it struggles to rank, sometimes even for branded keywords, because if the pages don't get rendered, they don't get basically read, and they cannot rank. NL, we made sure that we are there from beginning, from server to hosting to actual code, that they respected all SEO requirements, and within 3 months of launching, which was 25th of October, within 3 months, we managed to rank with Casino on position 9 and Hocken Online and Online Hocken on position 3, which are huge keywords. If you don't speak Dutch, as I don't, is the slots online and online slots. So if you include SEO in the beginning, you're going to start to make money sooner, and the fixes you need to make are less, which means include your SEOs in the beginning from everything. Because if it goes wrong, then you can blame it on them, okay? That happens to us too.
I can maybe add to that from my personal experience. So I would say you should include SEO even earlier in the beginning, because with Betson, in some cases, we were launching in markets where we couldn't use our own platforms due to license issues. So we had to select a third-party provider that had a license there. And in some cases, SEO was not involved from the beginning in this process. So if you choose a platform or platform provider which doesn't have enough features for SEO optimization, ranking in Google afterwards would be a nightmare. And you would actually probably need to pay this platform provider to develop the SEO issues for you. So you would even pay extra money for the development time, because usually what happens is that you pay money if you want to implement some new features. So even when you're choosing a platform, if it's not your internal one, I definitely advise to include SEO, because you will basically avoid lots of issues in the future. Yeah.
Yes, and on this, choosing CMS system is one of the huge things. It differs from small affiliates to bigger affiliates to operators, and we would like to talk about it because many times it gets chosen without advice from SEO. So we would like to discuss the main decoupled and headless. Decoupled is WordPress, and headless is basically like the more difficult one that is built in-house. And we would like to explain you which one is good, why, and when to choose it for your business. So anyone wants to start on this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll kick things off. I'll probably defer to the more technical guys for a more in-depth explanation of the differences between the two. But I mean, for me, I'd probably agree with yourself, Adam. Like this, the CMS probably fundamentally doesn't matter as long as you are focusing on sort of getting the SEO basics right from the start. So I think both offer obviously pros and cons, as you would expect. And I think typically we see obviously affiliates tending to use decoupled solutions such as WordPress, because again, there's not the level of interfacing that's required with a platform-heavy operator site. And you know, in terms of advantages for decoupled CMSs, like WordPress as a good example, they've often got built-in SEO tools that can support, even basic users with the fundamentals, whereas, a headless solution might require more development time in order to be able to make it customizable with, the basic requirements needed. But I think one of the key advantages of like a headless solution would certainly be when it comes to like omni-channel, multi-channel messaging. So, when content needs to be repurposed, and that's one of the strategies that is finding a lot of resonance at the moment across, whether it's from website to app or from website to retail. Headless solutions, I guess, can provide that scalability and flexibility that you might need depending on where the messaging is going out. But yeah, I think there's probably not a right answer to this one. It's something you take case by case. But yeah, happy for the guys to come in on how you would land at choosing a platform for your particular businesses.
Yeah, so I can say that it depends, as always with SEO. I would use WordPress and similar CMSs from operator side, maybe for the blogs. If you have some sort of like section for news or like blog articles that you want to target with SEO, WordPress is a good way to go. Of course, you might need to customize it a bit, make it a bit more secure, because that is the main issue with these kind of CMSs, that it's kind of easy to hack, let's say, or break, especially if it's not up to date. So usually, you need to implement some extra security solutions. Plus, it shouldn't be connected to your main website. So you can create WordPress blog that it's not connected in any way. If it gets hacked, has some issues, your website main with sportsbook, casino products will still work. So from operator side, yes, that makes sense. From affiliate side, I guess if it's a smaller website as well, it makes sense to use WordPress. From operator side, another option for WordPress is brand protection websites, because usually those are quite simple, and you are creating brand protection websites to rank in Google on your own brand name. So basically you are outranking or trying to outrank affiliates who are ranking for your brand name, because basically they are earning money from your brand awareness if they are ranking at like top in the first page of Google. So you would like to get the money back that you invested into brand awareness, like for yourself, and not pay extra money for affiliates. So usually for those kind of websites, WordPress is good, simple solution, and usually since you have one extra advantage against affiliates, because you can use your own brand name in the domain name of this brand protection. Usually operators have a rule that affiliates cannot use our brand name for their websites. So this is one advantage you have with that. So yeah, I think this, and headless, of course, CMS, it's good to use for your main website. So since we have complicated websites, multiple market languages, everything needs to be connected through API usually. So headless CMS is a good way to have, especially if you, let's say, want to launch native apps on some markets. Without headless CMS, it would be super tricky, or the experience for users will not be good. So that's my comment. Probably took a bit too much time, but...
Us and brand protection, right? Every panel has to meet on a brand protection. That's why we're smiling here.
I just have one thing to add here. Talking to C-levels, if you decide what and how to do, at the end, you will always blame SEO, as usual, yeah? So you will blame if they're not ranking, but you will never award if they're ranking. You will say, no, it's not you, it's the brand activity that we have, it's the branded keywords, it's not you. So if you're already blaming SEO, so at least ask them before for what they do exactly. They will come up with some ideas, like Orima said, with some hybrid creature of WordPress and something else. But at least if it's, again, integrated and everything, you will get the results. And if something went wrong, you will tell them, okay, you just told me to do that, so it's up to you. So always ask SEO before you change anything or decide anything on your platform. That's what I say.
Very good. Maybe I'm just going to add something on the headless part. So, of course, the advantage of having a headless CMS, especially from an operator point of view, is that you kind of remove that binding that you have, the dependency from the front end and the back end. So, of course, you have the back end, and you can do upgrades, and you might not affect, like with more traditional CMSs, the front end. So with the front end, you can have more maybe fast-paced technologies, where then the backend you have maybe you more have legacy functionality. So headless for sure is a benefit for big enterprises, and when it comes then you have maybe different data points. You have the data that you're trying to collect via APIs from other as well, libraries. It becomes beneficial on the front end. Of course, what you need to take care is when you develop the kind of the front end ahead is that you need to make sure you provide the right specs to developers, because they're creating everything from scratch. The title where it needs to appear, the canonicals, the hreflangs, all SEO element basically needs to be shared and scoped out, and then the developers will implement them.
I'll just add a little bit about the system that we use. We use both the sort of traditional WordPress setup and also have a custom in-house built CMS that is actually decoupled. It's not really headless, but it allows us the flexibility and speed so that we can test out different front ends like Gatsby and even different versions of WordPress that we have also built in-house. So I think for affiliates, this is probably sufficient unless you are doing a very complex setup with native apps and things like that. If you have live scores or whatever, that's probably an instance where you need a headless CMS. But I think, yeah, most affiliates will start with the traditional WordPress. There are then plugins that let you decouple WordPress as well. And I think the pros here are that you gain on speed and flexibility, but it also becomes very complex, and you need a very good tech team to maintain all this. So if you're an affiliate, yeah, until you reach that scale, I don't think it's really something that should be on your radar.
Yeah. So basically, just to summarize, because we spoke a lot, decoupled, such as WordPress, should be used for smaller websites, one-page websites, smaller affiliate websites, even bigger ones, but then you need developers to compress your plugins to make it faster, and as well security, because as we said, the crawlers there are a little bit easy to use. Websites that are not Java heavy, so not for operators or huge e-commerce. If you're going to headless, it is exactly for operators or e-commerce, anything that is Java heavy and anything that needs to be streamlined. So, you know, we, for example, have 17 brands, you have 25, so when you need to do changes in bulk, and as you said, native apps.
Yeah, and you need to have good development team and a lot of developers, because technically with headless you are giving more control to developers.
Yeah.
So if you have plenty of resources, technically developers and designers as well, because based on designs, developers can like easily change how the website looks in a few days. You don't need to do page by page kind of changes. So yeah, definitely you need to have some good designers, I would say, and development team as well.
Yeah. And I know this is a lot of technical information, but don't worry, you will get an SEO cheat sheet afterwards where all of this that we're discussing will stay with you. So if you are setting up anything from SEO, you will have a little reference point. We were talking about security, that the WordPress websites might not be the most secure. And I don't know how you, but at least my company lately really experienced a lot of DDoS attacks. And it sounds like something that doesn't influence SEO, but it does. And this is what we're going to discuss, DDoS attacks and SEO. And we're going to share the nightmare stories right now. So who wants to start with a nightmare story? And what is DDoS attack and how SEO just gets ruined?
Yeah, I can start with this one because we had this nightmare attack on Friday, actually, so it was quite recent memories. So one of our brands in Italy got DDoS attack. It was actually login DDoS attack from all over the world. So technically they were trying to attack us so that users couldn't log in and play. So, of course, we had to do something about this. Traffic was huge. So the decision was made to block traffic from all countries except 3. Italy, Malta, I think, and Switzerland. So every other country was blocked. And then the next day, of course, and they didn't tell to SEO this because it was like very quickly done, like DevOps team and the regional team. And then the next day we see, we are stopped ranking in Italy for some reason, like why? Then we checked, of course, Google Search Console. We checked some other places and seeing that Google is seeing error for our website for some like 403 error, I think it was. Yes, and then we investigated what happened. And apparently a DDoS attack, they blocked US as well, which basically Google bots are crawling our website with US IPs. So if you block all traffic from US, Googlebot will also see the error, and it will think that, hey, the website went down, not working, and then it will disappear from the Google search. So of course we contacted DevOps, they unblock US, and one solution to avoid this is basically Google recently announced their list of IP addresses that they use for their Googlebot crawlers. So DevOps can basically whitelist those IPs. So even if they block US traffic, those Googlebot IPs will stay whitelisted, and basically you will not disappear from the search results.
And I think that's a really important development as well, because one sort of very popular attack, and still is quite prevalent, is the use of fake Googlebot user agents, right? And without having, I suppose, a whitelisted range of IP addresses, makes it very difficult to determine what is and what isn't genuine. And I think as a result, some of these sort of attack mitigation tactics could be far too restrictive. So whilst previously we'd look at, I suppose, things like the host name, having those IPs to whitelist should be a valuable tool, I would say, to mitigate against SEO damage as a result of fake Googlebot attacks on site.
Yeah, we did that as well. So we had several of those DDoS attacks, and every time exactly the same, they block all the traffic, including bots from USA mainly. And then I wake up Saturday morning and all my rankings are gone, and NDCs are next to nothing, and you panic. So at least we had the same workaround. We whitelisted the Google bots on server level and pre-render. So if you are an operator, remember the pre-render as well, because it's an extra layer. And if you don't list it there, it's just not going to work. And as well, we created an automated tool that sends us a message if the bots are not getting through. So this is sort of an easy workaround, because you can connect the API from Google Search Console, and it will create it for you, and it will really work like a magic. So if something is not passing, you can check immediately. Unfortunately, my notifications are at midnight, so I don't sleep much. Good. Any other horror stories from DDoS?
Can I share something that's not DDoS, but it's also a negative SEO attack?
Oh, negative SEO, that was my next thing. Like when you are sending a lot of fake traffic, that can lead to negative SEO. So thank you for the bridge.
Yeah, we didn't really have that many DDoS attacks that turned out
probably
to be a disaster.
you're sending them. Now we know. Watch out for Geek.
But two interesting ones that happened relatively recently. I think one that we come across quite a lot in affiliation, because we're so content heavy, especially when it's a new website and starts ranking quite high, is that we get a lot of scraper sites that just scrape the content and then publish it across thousands of domains. And then chances are that some of these domains might be more powerful than our domain, even though it was ranking. So this confuses Google to the point that we lost all rankings, like from the top 100 for some of these pages. So basically, after fighting it, you can do a takedown notice with Google, but are you going to do this for 1,000 domains? You can do DMCA protection and everything. There is something called a canary token that you can add to your server, which basically tells you when there is content from your website that is appearing on another IP or domain. But then it's still reactive. So I think at one point, what we had to do is completely rewrite the content and make it different from the original to actually get back to rankings. And then another interesting one that occurred recently was something I've never seen before. We had a website where we were blocking search URLs. So when you use the search function on the website, it will create a new URL with parameters. We were blocking this in robots.txt because we didn't want Google crawling all these URLs to optimize crawl budget and everything. And somebody just attacked us through the search by creating hundreds of thousands of pages with porn keywords and spammy keywords. So Google couldn't crawl these URLs, but it could see that all of a sudden, most of our site had very spammy words in the URLs. And so that was quite interesting, and it took us a while to find the correlation between this and a drop in rankings. And the only thing we could do then was basically remove it from robots.txt so Google could crawl it, see the no index tag, get the pages out of the index, and then we actually had to change the way that search works so that it wouldn't create new pages anymore. But we use JavaScript to just present. So I think these two are a bit different from the sort of standard negative SEO attacks, but quite interesting, happened recently.
Yeah, there is another way of a negative SEO attack. Basically, you get lots and lots and lots of spammy links to someone, and it happened to me when I was in Mr. Green, and we were ranking position 2 for casino online and online casino in Sweden. Obviously, our biggest market is a Swedish company, and someone just bought like side-wide link behind an image on some really crappy website. It was like porn or something. It was really, really bad. And we just dropped all the rankings and we were like, what the heck is going on? Until we found it. Then we, of course, disavow it, but disavow takes like 6 months. So we actually had to write them to ask them to remove it. They didn't want to because someone paid them to put it there. And it can cost you a lot. So negative SEO attacks are real. And it's a very nasty thing. So don't do it to each other. Cooperate. Don't hate each other. Anyone else has a horror story? I hope you're enjoying our horror stories.
Maybe not a horror story, but one thing that is also relevant for operators. So you have one block when you're getting attacked. So you block traffic totally from the countries. And then what operators need to do usually also is show a country's blocked message for the users because it's not allowed according to regulations. So these are kind of two different types of blocks. One is set up like by your developers. Basically, you're showing, hey, you're accessing websites from France or something like that, and then we are not allowing the iGaming players to register from your country due to regulations. So with these type of blocks, also please don't forget to whitelist Google bots, even if you're not getting attacked, because if you launch these like countries blocked messages, yeah, it can be the same issue as with DDoS attacks. Basically, you will lose all rankings. So if anybody plans to do anything, like implement these blocks, especially for US that are not active at the moment, please keep in mind SEO too. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to add from that side.
Yeah, I think from all of these horror stories, you know, we should probably, I suppose, provide some optimism in that Google is becoming increasingly sophisticated in being able to detect certain types of negative SEO attack, although, as we've sort of alluded to, it can be very much a cat and mouse game. And I think be wary, particularly when it comes to sort of backlink negative SEO attacks. There will be very spammy sites out there that exist purely for the purpose of charging you money to take a link down from their site. This is something we've had to advise clients on probably 5 or 6 times in 2023 so far. And I think, yeah, the sort of default position can often be, oh, well, you know, let's pay up and get this link completely removed. I think, first of all, you need to be absolutely, you know, 100% determinate that this is the cause of any negative impacts on the site before you take, you know, such drastic measures. But being aware of the red flags is definitely an important first step.
True. So basically, what you need to remember and understand about negative SEO attacks, they are terrorists of SEO, and they're always going to be one step ahead of you. If they want to attack you, they will attack you. So have a strong SEO team that can analyze it and clean it up for you. Now, there is one thing that is really changing our life, and everybody talks about it, and it's an AI and automation in SEO. And obviously, our big friend, ChatGPT. So we're going to a little bit brush up on that. We have just a few more minutes. So I hear it a lot, like, oh my God, you're going to be out of job. This ChatGPT is here. I'm like, okay, if I heard that every time, I would be jobless for many years. But what is your point? What is your take on this? Is it our friend or is it our enemy?
I think it can have the potential to be both, you know, depending on what you let it be. I think when it comes to, let's take, I suppose, content quality first and foremost, you know, we've all heard over the past sort of year or so in particular, the focus from Google on EAT content, so looking at experiential expertise, authoritative, trustworthy content. And I think whilst, you know, AI is going some way towards that, particularly from the experiential side, you know, it's currently not a good enough sort of substitution for, you know, the industries we're operating in anyway to replace human-led content. That's not to say we should take our eye off the ball or be complacent about it. I think it is going to evolve. It is going to get better. So in that case, we look at how we can make use of it to make our lives easier instead. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, through content output and automation in that sense, but it could be the automation of you know, repetitive SEO-driven tasks that we carry out on a day-to-day basis. So when we were discussing earlier, we were, you know, pointing to examples such as, you know, metadata, output of volume and stuff, easy things to automate and from a technical level as well. I'm sure the guys will have plenty to come in there
Yeah.
good uses so far. So.
Yeah, Milorad, please. You have
can I
got very
just add,
different opinions to all of us.
Well, I'm not as scared of it because if we look at it from the affiliate side, we're largely review websites. Of course, there's other types of content, but what Google has at least been trying to reward recently is original content where you can prove that you've actually tested this product. So, how do we get ChatGPT to test the product? I don't see it happening anytime soon. And also, I think it just happened recently, a few days ago, Google announced that they're adding, right now in the SERPs, you can click on the three dots to see, about this page and why you should trust this page. Now they're adding authorship there as well. So it seems like they're making another push for authorship. So, how does authorship relate to ChatGPT? Are you just going to say, well, you should trust this author because it's ChatGPT? And when we can see that it's actually quite inaccurate in a lot of instances. Of course, it can, technology always helps you do more with less. So I think, as you said, automating lots of things, making research better, faster, making briefs and things like that. But I think, you always need to add originality to it. And at this point, I don't see it happening anytime soon. It's
So
just
we're not
going to be
out of jobs.
well, I mean, you always had people who, writers who were plagiarizing, which is basically what
I think
ChatGPT
designers
is.
will be out of jobs. You can play around with images. They're amazing. I'm sold on that.
Let me add some negative news for you.
Yeah, he's the negative one. That's why he's
sorry,
in black.
guys.
He probably sends you the negative SEO as well.
For the first time, every year I hear that SEO is dead.
Yeah,
Dead.
for the last
That's
20
it.
years, exactly.
20 years, SEO is dead, SEO is dead. Now this time, I think, first of all, I'm super concerned about the powerful tools such as ChatGPT and the way how others will use it. So far, only professionals are using it. I call it us. We are not normal people. Yeah, we're not like we are not behaving as a normal people online. But once the normal people will start using it, this will change everything. I'm not concerning about the content, let's say, but I'm concerning about the way of behavior of the normal users, how they were. So they're already saying there is no search engines, there will be answering machines, answering engines. So you just ask and get the answer, and this will change a lot in terms of the traffic, in terms of the everything, I would say. So this is what I have to say about ChatGPT and everything in AI. I think it's real stuff for SEO. It will change everything.
It is, but it's not killing us. It's changing us. It's like SEO 20 years ago isn't the same that is now. So if you think of SEO 20 years ago, yes, that SEO is that.
Can
But
you
there's
say
the
that
new-
SEO is Google?
No,
Why
SEO
not?
is
But
as
you're doing
well
SEO
Google,
for
but it's-
Google.
Yes, but it's not just that. I mean, even if you get an amazing ChatGPT, we'll still need to have the technical part that just we discussed. And good luck, ChatGPT, to
But if I would
fix that.
ask you something about Bing, like 5 months ago,
I know, but it's not just Google. Like it's not just keywords. Yeah, I love that it is our main client and we mostly optimized for it. But
Only for
ChatGPT
Google.
will never be able to do the technical part that we just discussed. It will never speak to CMO and explain them why they need to have a decoupled CMS.
careful about that, because listening here, the ChatGPT for what you're saying here.
Okay,
I
if
think,
I'm
no?
short on the streets, you know it listened.
But speaking about, by the way, a few sentences about automation. On the previous topic on the negative SEO, on the DDoS and everything, I believe it's impossible to fix it, but I believe with automation tools, you can prevent it, and you should have all the automation SEO and everything. Probably you will fire a few SEOs from your team if you have more automation tools. I'm joking. But again, everything related to AI and automation, at least you will need to have someone in your team who understands and who is doing it. Only this, not any backlinks, not any link buying, not any content, only this to research, to find, because the amount of information that changes every day is huge.
Yeah. And do we have any questions? Could be to ChatGPT, could be to anything else. We still have a few minutes. If not, they will continue fighting about the AI.
I was gonna just comment something about what Miller had said, because we kind of maybe miss it out. Because he said, of course, you're writing about a product and you're providing a review. We cannot forget that Google recently, so before we had the EAT, added experience. So they're kind of what they introduced to make sure that the experience kind of attribute measures what maybe ChatGPT and AI don't provide, because we need to remember that, of course, AI will continue to evolve. Adoption is through the roof, but it is kind of a probabilistic guess at this point. So by adding maybe that experience, by adding more expert and more authorship is how Google can leverage maybe that uniqueness between the content and the different companies. I do foresee that it will become really spammy, and I think who maybe is not a normal user might burn a site, because they might go, okay, I'm gonna go through ChatGPT, I'm gonna try to create some content. Of course, you need to use the right prompts, make it really unique. But of course, AI is, we need to adopt it, and I think we need to adopt it to leverage it for, especially for ideation and research purposes, because it's for sure it's here to stay.
Yeah, I think as you said, you know, spammers are going to spam end of the day, and saw the other day really funny post where someone had done a search on Google for regenerate this response, you know, that line of text you get with every ChatGPT answer, and there were tens of thousands of websites who were taking content directly from ChatGPT, leaving that sort of additional line in and then publishing it as is, and you know that's never going to work. So I think, yeah, speaks to that example quite well.
In my opinion, I think, yeah, firstly, keywords such as like how to play casino or like how to play roulette, how to play blackjack strategies, roulette strategies, this kind of informational kind of content at some point people will start looking through ChatGPT, most likely. For iGaming operators, for example, yeah, if you are doing brand building, most of the traffic anyway is coming through your branded keywords, so that will probably not be affected. And also, if people are looking for a service, like for a website to play a game, for example, most likely he will not go through ChatGPT. Maybe he might ask, people might ask, I know, top iGaming operators with best bonuses in Sweden, for example, or something like that. So maybe if ChatGPT is good enough, maybe such kind of search queries might be done there. But yeah, I think with iGaming industry and service providers, I think, yeah, we are pretty safe. In terms of automation, what I think can work for operators, so not necessarily related to AI. So firstly, in terms of SEO, is doing daily checks of your website, if everything is working from technical SEO sites, so that you spot issues as fast as possible. With AI, what you can do, or one of the first, I think, areas operators can use AI is sportsbook generated content. So for example, usually operators have thousands and thousands of sportsbook pages related to these smaller, medium, like high volume leagues. So at least for small scale leagues in small scale markets, AI-generated content is most likely a way to go, because manually you will not be able to add content to all these like low priority pages. So I think with AI content, it's definitely better than having nothing. Maybe I wouldn't use ChatGPT, but there are other services that can help you with that. Probably less easy to kind of know that it's AI generated if you're not using the official ones. So yeah, at least from operator side, that is the first thing I would probably do.
I think Milorad want to say something.
No, I just want to agree with Aurimas. I think certain types of content, I don't see Google cracking down on AI-generated content for that specific content type. Like, do you really need...
But that's not what we're trying to rank.
Yeah, exactly. Do you really need experience to sort of like do a game report or a match report and say like what the score was and things like that? But I mean, there are companies out there who have been using programmatic content now for years to rank and make a lot of money, and they have not been caught. So I think we're going to see a lot of people use ChatGPT successfully for...
You're right. The author is ChatGPT on the website.
No, in this case, they would do like fake authors. So because I think at the end of the day, Google doesn't know if it's AI generated. No, it looks for patterns. So I think at some point, even human written content can be seen as AI generated content if it is following certain pattern that Google is seeing, right? So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of things. It's not going to be black and white. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to have success using it, and then probably a lot of people who are going to be collateral damage when Google does start to crack down on it.
I think we just ran out of time, so I'll ask you for one advice or one thing that they need to remember outside of the SEO cheat sheet is coming. and then we're off the stage.
Involve SEOs into almost everything would be my idea.
I would say involve in the word SEO. Don't forget that you're not only blaming them, but also saying them, good job. Even if they don't know why they rank for number one, that's okay.
Good job is best said by bonuses, by the way.
I think for me it would be to get the foundations nailed down before you start looking into sort of off-page or amplification strategies. So yeah, focusing on getting the tech foundations in place first.
I'm going to go with something very simple, especially when there's a DDoS attack or something. Make sure your server codes are right. So a 404 page gives a 404 status, and the 503 gives a 503. Because if you have a DDoS and those are not in place, the struggle is going to be much more.
Since we're talking about technical SEO, I think one thing to remember is that most of SEO is very probabilistic, and we're always guessing. With technical SEO, it's pretty deterministic. In some instances, like Core Web Vitals, stuff like that, there's a score that you need to hit. So it's actually very simple to know what you need to do. It's the implementation that's harder. And I think the only way to do this across the company is to actually not just involve SEO, but also make sure that the other departments are already designing websites with technical SEO in mind. So from design to the tech department, content, everybody should be contributing in a way so that the websites are fast and that they're technically sound.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention. Thank you to my wonderful panelists.